On the morning of December 1st, 1948, a man's body was found propped against a sea wall on Somerton Beach near Adelaide, Australia. He was impeccably dressed. He carried no wallet, no identification of any kind. Witnesses had actually seen him the evening before, sitting in the same spot, occasionally moving an arm. They assumed he was simply drunk or asleep. No one realized they were watching a man who may have already been dying. An autopsy found no obvious cause of death. Pathologists suspected poisoning, but no toxin was ever conclusively identified in his system, an unusual and deeply frustrating dead end for investigators from the very start. Every single label had been carefully removed from his clothing, an oddly deliberate detail for a man found in an otherwise ordinary public place, suggesting someone, possibly the man himself, didn't want him easily identified. Months into the investigation, a pathologist re-examining his clothing discovered something everyone else had missed. A small, hidden fob pocket sewn into the waistband of his trousers, easy to overlook entirely. Inside was a tiny rolled-up scrap of paper reading Tamam Shud, Persian for the end or finished. It had clearly been torn from a printed page, though from what, no one yet knew. Police published the phrase publicly, appealing for help identifying its source. Remarkably, a man came forward saying he'd found a rare copy of the book it came from, tossed into the back seat of his unlocked car around the same time. The book was a copy of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, an 11th century Persian poem about living fully in the face of mortality. The torn final page matched perfectly with the scrap found in the man's pocket. On the inside back cover, investigators found faint pencil indentations, a local phone number, and 5 lines of capital letters that looked unmistakably like a coded message. Australian and international codebreakers, including military cryptography experts, attempted to crack the code for decades. To this day, no solution has been proven correct or widely accepted by the cryptographic community. Some researchers believe the letters aren't a cipher at all, but simply the first letters of words in a poem or phrase the man was trying to remember, essentially a memory aid rather than a deliberate code. In 2021, one independent researcher published a claimed solution, suggesting the code referenced the man's own psychological state and intentions. The theory has not been widely accepted by mainstream cryptographers or investigators. The phone number found in the book led investigators to a nurse living not far from where the body was found. When shown a plaster cast of the dead man's face, witnesses said her reaction was one of visible shock, though she denied knowing him. She was informally known for decades only by the alias Justin, refusing to fully cooperate with investigators. Her actual identity wasn't publicly confirmed until 2013, well after her death, by her own daughter. For years, one theory suggested the Somerton man might have secretly been the biological father of Justin's son, based on a set of genuinely rare shared physical traits, including an unusual ear shape and dental condition found in only a tiny percentage of people. When that son's own DNA was eventually tested against family records, investigators found no genetic match at all, closing off one of the case's most compelling personal theories. Given the timing, right at the start of the Cold War, and Adelaide's proximity to a sensitive weapons testing facility, one enduring theory suggested the man may have been an intelligence operative or spy. The suspected poisoning theory only deepened the intrigue. No toxin was ever conclusively identified despite testing, an unusual result that fueled speculation about a rare, hard-to-detect substance, possibly connected to intelligence work of the era. In 2021, after decades of failed identification attempts, South Australian authorities formally exhumed the body specifically to attempt modern DNA analysis. hoping new forensic technology could finally succeed where earlier efforts had failed. In July 2022, a University of Adelaide professor working with a genetic genealogist announced they'd identified him. Carl Webb, an electrical engineer and instrument maker born in Melbourne in 1905. Webb had reportedly separated from his wife years before his death and appeared to have no close remaining contact with family, a possible explanation for why no one ever reported him missing at the time. South Australian police have acknowledged the identification but have not formally closed the case, noting that identity is only part of the mystery. How and why he actually died remains officially unresolved. Even with a name attached, public fascination hasn't faded. Researchers continue examining the case's remaining details, hoping the same modern forensic tools that solved his identity might eventually explain his final days too. Even with a name now attached to him, the core mystery endures. What happened to Carl Webb on that beach, and why is still, more than 75 years later, genuinely unknown? Follow for more stories where even the answers raise new questions.